am Shia. I'm a confused one at that. But I just have a list of questions. Like I was supposed to talk to a Shia Sheikh scholar today, but he kind of bailed out. So, and then you came up, and I was like, subhanallah, like that may be a sign. But so first off, just because I'm researching Shia Sunni, I'm confused about praying with your hands closed and praying with hands open. Like, where did this idea come from that you pray with your hands closed? Just from like the Sunni perspective, because
All right. So the first
I have
thing...
other questions. Sorry to interrupt. But that's just the first question I have, just because it pertains so heavily with the way I perform prayers and everything.
All right. Before we go into the question that you said, there's more fundamental things. First, because what you're saying is a branch. It's a very small detail. And that branch will change based on the foundation. So I can easily answer small bits of questions here and there. But that's not going to make you reach a beneficial state. First, when you say you identify yourself as a Shia, is the first question I always...
That was... Well, I don't know. Because everyone around me is Shia, and my parents are hooking me up with like every Sheikh scholar they know, and giving me all the books to read about Shiism and stuff. And I've also been reading Ahlul Sunnah books. And it's just, I'm just confused at this point. But I do have some questions that pertain to like Qadir al-Khum, where like Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says, I leave you two weighty things, Ahlul Bayt in the Qur'an. I was wondering, like, how do I reconcile it?
But I'm as I said, like right now you mentioned another smaller point.
Is it a smaller point?
I would say it is. For the Shia, they make the whole religion based on it. But there's a smaller point in light of everything I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say, before we talk about these small details, because we can get lost in the details, as they say.
Right.
Can get lost in small details, and in the end, not end with a beneficial results. I think what would make things clearer is to first understand what is a Shia, what does that mean, and then we realize, can we be that, or should we be that, or not? And then I'll respond to the same point, the small points that you're making. Do you get what I'm trying to say? I have no problem, by the way, responding to the small points. But first, I would like you to understand, or tell me from your understanding, because maybe I don't know if you know or you don't know. What is a Shia?
So the pillars of faith, I think there's an extra pillar of faith, which is imamah. So you have to believe in the 12 imams, or if you are different, I don't know, sect of Shia, you believe in 6 or 8. But like where I've grown up, it's 12 imams. You believe in 12 imams, and you believe that the last imam is the imam of your time, and you should follow that imam of your time. And
so you have 12 imams: al-Baqir, al-Sadiq, Ali, al-Hussein, al-Hassan, all of these people.
And you reject the hadiths from, Bukhari and...
yes, before we'll come to what you reject. I just want to highlight first the 12 imam point to completely understand it. What are the characteristics of these 12 imams?
That they have they're divinely ordained by Allah. And that they have knowledge, ilm al-ghaib. They have
they know the unseen. They know the unseen, and they're ma'soom. They're infallible.
And also that they have... This is an interesting point that came up in like a discussion among Shia girls in our group, was that they have they transcend time, which was a bit diabolical for me, at least. I don't know. I actually don't have that much knowledge.
All right.
But that's another characteristic. And they believe that because the castle, like the Queen of Sheba, I think it was, someone who had knowledge of the book brought a throne to Prophet Sulaiman alayhi salam. They believe that therefore, like, Allah is able to give the knowledge of the unseen and give these powers.
I understand. I'm not getting to the justification yet, right? I just want the beliefs. So the belief is, they're infallible, and I'm glad you're saying this, because it's important to know. It's important to know. And you, as you said, your family is bringing you all these scholars talking to you, and they're telling you these things because this is the Shia belief. Shia belief is to believe there's 12 people, 12 imams appointed. There has to always be an appointed imam at every time, guidely, divinely appointed by God. And these imams have the knowledge of the unseen. They're infallible. They do not commit any errors or mistakes at all, zero. And I'm not sure if they told you that or not, but in many books it mentions that they're better than all the prophets, except Prophet Muhammad. Yeah, but all the prophets, right?
Yeah.
They say that. So and
Yeah,
they're better than they're better than all the prophets of God except Prophet Muhammad. And some would even go to the extreme and saying, I don't need to go to the extreme. I don't want to go to the fringe views. Right?
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
But okay, so these are the 12 imams. Okay, so that's the first thing.
Right.
Second thing is, what is the Shia view on the Sahaba?
Because of the incident with the pen and paper and Fadak and all these other them denying Ali's like Khalifa.
Yes.
They believe that they they return
say
to
it, say it. You gotta be like, you know what, as they say, proud about your beliefs, because we're gonna discuss them, right?
I'm not proud of my beliefs.
Yes. Oh no. Okay, all right. It's not your beliefs. Sorry to say that, because you said you're not, you don't know what your right now your position is. But the beliefs of Shia, you can proudly say them, no problem. So they would say they're not believers, for instance, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so they will say that the overwhelming majority, except 9 or 3, or but the overwhelming majority, which is hundreds of thousands, over 100,000 in the last ceremony of the Prophet, they're not believers, and they're evil people, etc.
Right.
Correct? And the wife of the Prophet also.
Yeah, because
she was with them, with the Muawiyah's army. So and they will curse the wives and say the wives are not believers and all that. Correct?
Yes.
All right. Great. We're getting somewhere now, right? All right. So the third belief, let's add another belief. Another belief is that they would say that a very important belief, that they would say there are verses of the Quran that to be read or understood in a different way, etc. Some things like this.
Yes. Like the Surah Ahzab.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. Many verses, like even in wudu, there's many verses and many narrations about that. The fourth thing is that they would bring narrations from Al-Baqarah Sadiq, mainly, predominantly. They have from Ali radiallahu anh. They attribute to him, of course. Right. This is all just attributions. But overwhelming majority, over 90%, is coming from Al-Baqarah and Sadiq.
Right.
Correct? Okay, good. So now, these are the beliefs. These are the, let's say, the main beliefs of Shia, let's just say, the 12ers, the Ja'faris, which are the people that we're talking about right now, right? Which is the overwhelming majority of the Shia. Okay, now, the first thing we talk about is this. Let's talk about, briefly, I'm going to mention something to do with Ghadir Khum, because you mentioned it. Okay, in Ghadir Khum says that upon you is the book of Allah, and they would say Ahlul Bayt.
Yes.
Also, sorry, another thing, which is a very important belief of the Shia, say that we have to follow Ahlul Bayt. Ahlul Bayt, by necessity, you have to follow them. This is in creed. You have to, a part of your creed is that you have to follow Ahlul Bayt.
Yes.
All right.
And
so, yeah, all right. So now, in Ghadir Khum, it says first thing is the book of Allah, right?
Right.
Upon you is first the book of Allah. So we start with the book of Allah. Is that fair?
I think I know where you're going, but okay.
If you know or you don't know, it's okay. But it's just like, thing is, they say, this narration is the most important narration, correct? So we're going to use that narration. The narration says, upon you is the book of Allah first.
Yes.
So let's focus on the book of Allah. Is there a problem? We and the Shia agree on the book of Allah. Yes. This is the common ground that we have. We both say we believe in the same book. This book is from, the majority of the Shia will say we believe in all of it is from God. Yeah, the one that we have, they say they believe it's from God. So if we agree on this book is from Allah, now let's use this book and see, is this book in agreement to the beliefs of the Shia that we highlighted, or is not? Is that fair?
Okay. No, but there isn't.
All right. So it's not in line, you're saying?
I think there's no hard evidence. They say that there is verses that point to the Ahlul Bayt, but there's no clear-cut explicit verses.
No, first I'm asking a different question. Is it fair to say that because you say you believe in the Quran to them, and we believe in the Quran, we believe in the same book, this book is from God, it's God's revelation, is guidance for mankind, Allah says in the Quran that ما فرطنا في الكتاب من شيء, we did not leave anything out of this book essentially. This is obviously referring to اللوح المحفوظ actually. But generally, Allah says that this book is guidance for all areas of life. If it doesn't give you specific details, it'll give you principles. Like follow the Prophet, for instance. So it'll give you principles in which would lead you into all the areas of life. But this book is guidance for mankind. So it should guide you and me. We're having a disagreement now. Allah says in that same book, فَإِن تَنَزَعْتُمْ فِي شَيْءٍ, if you disagree over anything, then return it to the Quran and the Prophet.
And the Prophet.
Yes. So we start first with the Quran. Okay. So if it says to return it to Allah, referring to the Quran and then the Prophet, then isn't it fair to say first, before we go into what the Quran is saying, is that principle fair?
That is fair.
Okay, that is fair. And they should not say it's not fair, because they are saying we believe in the Quran. The Quran is from God, it's God's revelation, all of that. Okay. So now let's go with the Shia beliefs one by one. You were mentioning Ahl Bayt, so I'll start with from where you stopped. Does the Quran say it's a part of your creed, or does it teach anywhere you have to follow Ahlul Bayt? That's my question.
The family of the Prophet.
Yes.
Do you mean that? Or just...
well, look, we have disagreements on what Ahlul Bayt are, because we would say Ahlul Bayt include the wives of the Prophet ﷺ, and we will use the Quran as evidence. The verse in Surah Hud where the angels say about the wives of Ibrahim alayhi salam, they call them Ahlul Bayt. So Ahlul Bayt is a term, so Ahlul Bayt is a term that is used for the wives. Not only that, the context of Surah Al-Ahzab, which is you're probably going to bring, refers directly to the wives as Ahlul Bayt. Because the context talks about them.
Yeah.
So my question is, Ahlul Bayt now outside of the wives, which is, we're talking about Shia beliefs. They're saying they don't include the wives. They say they exclude the wives. Now we're excluding the wives. They say excluding the wives as the Shia would do. Where does it say now that we have to follow Ahlul Bayt? That they don't include the wives in the Quran anywhere? This is creed now. Yeah.
You probably got this verse like 100 times, but I think it's like verse 55 in I don't know which surah, or where he's talking about, well, Allah is talking about you should follow, your fellow Muslims who give charity and sujood or something, and then
okay, this verse إنما وليكم الله ورسوله, your ally is Allah and His Messenger. والذين آمنوا, and those who believe. الذين يقيمون الصلاة, those who establish prayer. ويؤتون الزكاة وهم راكعون, and they give zakah while they're prostrating. Nothing there about Ahlul Bayt, nothing there about Ali radiallahu anhu, nothing there about anyone by name. Talking about believers. And it's group, it's not one. Saying the believers, which means more than one.
Right, but isn't like the Quran verses like revealed when a certain situation or a certain thing happens in the Prophet's life?
We're taking the Quran the way it is. Now you're going to a different source. We're saying the Quran, because I'm going to use the Quran for my benefit, and I'm not going to use any different source. I'm not going to say understanding. I'm going to use it the way it is. I'm just going to recite it the way it is. Okay?
Context.
Now, with the context. Context is the verses before and after. That's the definition of context. Context is the verses before and verses after. Context is not to bring other sources. That's not the meaning necessarily of the word context. Now, because we disagree on these other sources, there's no point of bringing them into the image right now. Let's talk about what we agree on. I'm not saying that no one can bring other sources, but we're saying right now we're discussing the Quran, correct? Does the Quran anywhere say to follow? It's a simple question. It's a very, very, very simple. Does the Quran, you brought a verse, we talked about it. What is the other verse you wanted to bring?
There is no other verses, to be honest. Not that I know. No other verses that I know of. So, fellow Shias, like, forgive me, but I don't know.
But do you use another verse, right? In Surah Al-Ahzab, you know the verse.
Yeah. The purification verse.
But you agree this verse clearly talks about the wives of the Prophet?
Yeah, because they use like the masculine pronouns, but if they believe that it's masculine, then it excludes Fatima.
Yes.
I already read that.
Not only that, the Quran speaks in generally in the Arabic language in the masculine terms, referring to both genders. That's how it works. Or then we remove all the commands of the Quran. Now the women don't have to do anything, right? Because all of the commands, most of the commands are like this. It's a general way of speaking. But the thing is, not only that, the context. The context starts with what? So Allah Azza wa Jal speaks in the Quran, and He mentions the verses of the Quran. Or the verse necessarily that they bring is verse what? 33, I believe. The verse 33.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
Really take like the second half of the verse.
Yes. So the context starts by Allah Azza wa Jal saying, Ya nisa an-nabi, oh wives of the Prophet.
Yeah.
لستن كأحد من النساء. You're not like any of them. Then Allah Azza wa Jal starts to tell them what to do. وأقمنا الصلاة. All in the feminine, right? أقمنا الصلاة, establish a prayer. وأتينا الزكاة, and give charity. وأطعنا الله ورسوله. All of these things.
Right.
Then Allah says Allah wants to purify you, Ahlul Bayt. Even let me be very, very, very nice with the Shias that would like to have a nice discussion. Right? I say, okay, look, I'll be nice with you, no problem. It's about Ahlul Bayt. Okay, let's say it's not about the wives, it's about Ahlul Bayt. Where does it say follow there?
Nowhere.
Nowhere. It just says that Allah is going to purify them. Done. Allah says the same thing about the companions, by the way, in Surah Al-Anfal, in the Quran. ينزل عليكم من السماء ماء ليطهركم به ويذهب عنكم رجس الشيطان ويثبت به الأقدام. So Allah Azza wa Jal saying that He will bring water or rain يطهركم به, so He can purify you with it. ويذهب عنكم رجس الشيطان, that Allah will remove from you the rijs, which is the impurity of Satan. The same thing as the other verse. Yeah. Right? So it's mentioned there about the companions. So about purity and purification, that's not, the verse is not saying what? It's not saying follow. We agree on that. Yeah. It's clearly, because we read the verse doesn't say follow. Okay. So is there any other verses you can bring in the Quran that says follow Ahlul Bayt, which is the creed of the Shia? You have to follow Ahlul Bayt. All right. So
only those two verses there.
All right. So the first belief of the Shia that we found, there's nothing in the Quran that shows that we need to do that. Okay, number one. Number two, now we talk.
That shows imama. There's no verse.
Yeah, even that's another belief. This is coming one by one. So first we said following Ahlul Bayt, which is a belief. Another belief now you mentioned it, so we'll go to the belief that you mentioned. Next belief is what? The imama.
يا قلوبا فيها الوفاء بشركم اليوم السرورا